Hello, everybody. It's Brian Schubring, the Music Man, with episode number 2, using regular MIDI files. As you can see on the screen here, I got a little bit of a script and all that, and some information and such, and links and that to some specific programs and information and that. And I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time on all the different programs that underneath OS 9 that you can be playing with, or with Linux and such, or underneath MS-DOS, but I'm going to be focusing on the MFPlay series by Paul Senura from 1991. And what it is, it's a program package that he put together that takes a standard MIDI file, it compresses it, compacts it, and converts it to a new format, that's what's known as CMF0, Compact MIDI Format 0. All the MIDI files that you could get from off the internet and from wherever need to be saved as a format 0. What do I mean by that? I know you're asking that question. Well, with MIDI files, you have different formats. In the earlier days of MIDI, you had format 0, which had just the base information that you need to create a song and play it through a synthesizer. In that, then they went to format 1 and to format XG and a couple other different extended formats that are out there. They provide extended capabilities for the newer synthesizers and such. But I'm not going to be covering that since we're playing with the CoCo in that. So we want to play regular MIDI files on a CoCo. There are programs that do it, such as Mplay, which is a redo by Bill Pierce based on Michael Knudsen's Midi Pack in that. And underneath Linux, you have Michael Knudsen's Ultramuse LX, which actually can write out and read in regular MIDI files in that, and also save them as UME files too, so that you can move more from Linux to the CoCo in that. But I don't have that set up on Linux currently in that, so I'm not going to be showing that. But there's quite a few different programs over here that you can do, and I've got information here so that you can kind of track where you get some of the things in that. So, what do you need to play MIDI files on a CoCo? Well, you need a CoCo, of course. You can do it underneath VCC, XOR, and that, and have it port out to synthesizer or the internal sound card in your PC and that. But I like playing with the real thing, the real hardware, the actual CoCo 3. And I like to use OS 9. That's my operating system of choice. So you need to have a PC, because you have to get it from the outside world, from the internet, onto your computer, and you need to be able to take and move it from whatever format it is into format 0 MIDI file. And there's several programs that you can use that for. And myself, I use an old Windows 98 version of Cakewalk that I actually run underneath Windows 7 32-bit underneath a virtual machine using Oracle's VM VirtualBox in that. So, and then I use from Toolshed the OS 9 command that takes and allows you to move a file onto an OS 9 disk image. In Toolshed, you also can do that with RS-DOS disks too. but I'm not going to go over that in this episode. So, you need to go to SourceForge. I have the link in the documentation here that I sent out, and you can pick it up. And you need to take and put the OS9 executable into your Windows System 32 folder. And the reason why for that is so that when you type in OS9, the command line built into Windows knows that there's a program there, and it can find it and it can run it to move the file from your regular drive onto the disk image. And like I said, I use Cakewalk. It's an old version that was given to me, and I actually have the disk, the source disk, that upon request could be provided so that you can use this program also. But you don't have to use this. There's other programs out there that will do the same job. It's just that I like to use it because it's available. I've had it for a long time, and I'm familiar with it in that. But if you've got another program, go for it. Use it. And like I said, you have to be sure that when you start working with the file on the CoCo to convert it to a CMF0 file, it must be saved as a format 0 file. And also, you want to make sure that all the active voices are turned on and none of them are muted in that. I've done that before, and I says, why doesn't all the channels and voices show up? Duh. I forgot to make sure that some of the channels were unmuted because I just wanted to listen to some editing that I was doing in that. So you need to make sure of that. And then on the CoCo side of things, you want to have the MFPlay package. And that I just did upload that to the Color Computer Archive site. Hopefully within the next day or two, it will be available for download by you and that. And then if you run OS9, just bring it into your system disk, and away you go. And then, so without further ado, let's take a look at Cakewalk. Okay. And I had found a bunch of different files and all that, and I found one that just tried it. It's a pretty interesting little sound. It's quality MIDI files, so what it is. And I found this one here. It's this file here. It's called Gypsy Woman. And it does have system exclusives, and it's going to send out the bank information to the synthesizers to tweak the banks and the sounds and all that, so that it plays the way that the author intended to be played. And let's take a listen. Let's see what this sounds like. Through it and all that, and now I've already gone through and I've done some tweaks and stuff, and just to kind of show you what's going on here, everywhere that you see an M here, that means that particular row has been muted. If it has a check mark, it means that it's turned on. And as you can see here, it's using channel 16 to send out some information here at first. And then channels 1, 2, and 3 are the main themes of this song. And then all these channel 10, all these are the different percussion instruments for all your percussion sounds and that. And this here, and I was talking about, for the format type. Well, if you try to save this, and if you go to options, you notice that it's in format 1, which means multiple tracks. Format 0 is a single merge tracks for each channel. And then I'm not going to save that. Let me open up the version that I already saved. Okay, again, that. And you notice, there's channel 10, all those 5 or 6 rows all merged into one. And that's one of the things with that. And I now have channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Basically what I did is I took the first 3 here, I cloned them and copied them, and I played around with different instruments in that, and also a little bit with the volume on some of these, and also the panning, between the left and the right channels in that. And what I did is that I took the original on some of these and just made it more towards one side, and then on the other one more towards the other side. So you got 2 different channels playing the same track but using different instruments, and that gives you more of a wider spatial sound, to the left and the right, by using slightly different sounds and such. And so you can come up with some real nice effects doing that. So let's just mute those and let's hear it. Already saved, and like I had showed you before, I'd already saved it as a format 0. This is extremely important. If it's not set as a format 0 file, MFConvert program used on the CoCo will not function. Now there are a couple programs on there that'll take and convert a MIDI format 1 to MIDI format 0, but it can take quite a while, especially if it's a larger MIDI file. In that, it can take quite a while, and sometimes it doesn't always come out right in that. If you do it within like Cakewalk or whatever program that you're using, then you have a higher degree of success in that. So we want to make sure that all the instruments are turned on, all right, and we are ready to go. So, all right, I've got a DOS prompt window opened up here in that, and real easy to get to. I'll just close this so that you can do it. So like I said, I'm going to be using Windows. So command prompt, And you need to get to the directory where the file is at. Well, I have it down here. So here's the directory in that. And I've got a little help thing that I created in an Excel spreadsheet in that. And that for using the OS9 command and using the copy function to move the file onto a disk image. And I've already put in the path, and I already put in the file name and the path of where I have the disk image, and this puts it all together. Now, one thing that I noticed, and you'll see this when I do this, is that because I have space in here between DriveWire and disk and command prompt, it will probably error out because it is seeing, instead of a whole command, it's seeing a command broken up with space. And DOS never liked those. So we need to change to this directory. So we're here, CD, right click, and boom, we're there. So now if I do a dir, whoop, we have all the files in there and all that. So now I can come back here. I can copy this line here. That is the command. You can type everything out on the command line. I just found that doing this way here, by having created this little tool here, I'm able to do a whole bunch of files at the same time, get everything in there, copy everything, paste it, boom, it moves all the disks over to the disk image. Now, one word of warning here. Okay, I'm using VCC, and I have it loaded into VCC. You cannot do that successfully all the time because it locks down the file, and when the command will take a look at it and say, hey, this file is busy, so it's not going to copy it, or toss an error. So you need to make sure that you have the disk image that you want to copy files to not connected to in VCC at all. So now that you're here, if I went and I pasted this up, there's that error that I was talking about. Okay, because it's thinking that it's multiple commands, and that's not good. So copy up, scroll over, and right here where add a double quote here, add a double quote after the D in mid, go to the end, press enter, and voila, success. And the proof is in the pudding. Now, why did it do that? Oh, I know why. This is why. I haven't mounted it. So now I got to go back in, mount it. Even I can make interesting little things. So, and there we go. And as you can see right here, there is the file got moved in. And I already moved it into my convert folder in that. All right. For MFConv, that is a fairly simple process. And then unfortunately, I forgot to get this set up here, but I'm covered. All right. And voila, there we go. All right, I already have this up here, and here's the syntax for MFConv. It's MFConv minus, if you want to use any of these options here. And I usually don't use any of these options at all, unless you know for a fact that this particular song that you're working on says, oh, this particular instrument and this channel here, it needs to be this instrument instead of that instrument. So you can actually change it if you want. It has the power to do that. But in this case here, I usually use the -R display report to the standard path. And if you want, you can also trace conversions too, but not necessary. And here is the big thing here, is that you need to have, as stated, standard in, so that's the file name, and then a space, and then the output, the greater than sign, and then the full path to where, and the file name to where it needs to be written to. So let's make sure that I have this in my path here, and let's just go, yep, and there we go. I know for a fact that it's there. So now we want to take and go, and I've got this clocked up at like about 30 megahertz, so it's the CoCo is on VCC is running extremely fast. So MFConv -R, and then you have to go the greater than, and we're going to go CMF0, and away we go. And you can see that it's working on converting it. And this is the page part up, and there we go. Since I had the in the configuration here, I have the CP up to actually 73 megahertz, so I've got about halfway up in VCC, and so it helps. It makes things go a whole lot faster. If you're doing on a Real CoCo, it will take longer, obviously, in that. But now that this is working fine, let's see about getting it moved over to a Real CoCo in that. Well, it's already on the disk image, so I can get that moved over. that part of it is going to be um, in a different video. Um, since, well, I could move it over in that, but I don't. The video would not look real good because I don't have the ability to pull in the screen directly. You know, and the screen looks a little cruddy with the camera on it. I don't have the camera set up for it, but that's pretty much how you get the uh, regular MIDI file converted to a CMF0 file to a dir here, and there it is. It's a CMF0 file, and so MFPlay can now play that file, and theoretically it'll play just like it did when you heard it in Cakewalk. So I will put out another video, so it'll be episode 2 version, or companion video B, showing the CoCo playing the song. So it's, you know, MFPlay is fairly simple to do. If you try to do this, it errors out because it doesn't really have help. But I do have the documentation for MFPlay. So if we back up, you have the readmes for MFPlay. There are 2 versions of it. There's a .old that he had made, and then a regular one on that. And everything you see on this disc, other than the Gypsy Woman MIDI file, is on the disk image that's been uploaded to Color Computer Archive. So let's just take a look at the readme.mfplay. And there we go. You know, it gives you what the programs are in the listing in the archive. I've got the archive around somewhere itself, but I've got everything already moved over to a disk image ready to use, already broken out into the different directories, in the commands directory, the sys directory, and of course the docs directory, and that, so that it can be just moved over to your system, so that if you want to type help and then MFPlay, then the Color Computer can report the help file on using it. And he goes through and explains why he came up with this solution of using a conversion to unpack a lot of the unnecessary bits and bytes out of the MIDI file, you know, so that it can run as efficiently as possible. That's the bottom line. And right there's the syntax. You know, you just MFPlay minus M for the option if you wanted to use that, and then of course the file name here. You know, the size for that, you need to be careful about that, so that if you are low on memory, and if you got too large of a size here, that could cause some issues in that. And if I recall, this here, this was going to be for controlling, I believe, the I want to say PID, but that's not it. But it's to give it a higher rating with the operating system, so that the operating system can't shut it down as easy and take compute cycles away from the program from running in that. So then you can use different things. I don't think it's actually necessary. I usually don't use it in that. And it says, I'm hoping that the high priority options will help keep those music flowing smoothly. Okay. Yeah, so it is for the priority. So that's how it plays. And like I said, I will have a second video of the program actually running on the computer. In that, I know you've seen a little bit on one of the previous versions or episodes that Midi box program that I wrote to utilize MFPlay plays all the music files, the CMF0 files, and that it makes it real easy to use the that front end that I created, because then I'm not hunting and pecking, typing everything in. It's right there. I have a listing of all the files. I tag it or I play the file right away, so I can hear the music. So, all right, folks. Have a good night, and I'll get that second video out shortly, hopefully in the next day or two. Talk to you later. Hello, everybody. Now back and working on getting my color computer all set up. And that I got that CMF0 file that we converted earlier over to my disk image that I keep all of my music files on. And so now let's boot up OS 9. This is my regular version of Nitrous 9. It's not the Beta 5 or the Beta 6 that I've been playing around with the past several days. And that this is a little bit of a leaner system. And that. So anyway, we're all booted up. And I actually use a front end that I was talking about before, called Midi Box. It's now reading all the files at the directory that you see on the screen there. And I've got about like 660 some odd files on there right now from MIDI files in the CMF0 format. And so I got quite a few there that I've collected over the years. And that's so, and MIDI Box is the front end that I created that uses the MFPlay program in a way that you just can almost click and play, but you basically select. And so, you know, as you can see, I've got quite a few different songs here. And Gypsy, well, number 209. No, that's not that particular song is I think Stevie Nicks. And there we go. We have Gypsy Woman, number 226. So let's see what this actually sounds like. And I just simply select it. I could tag it if I wanted to, and you know, tag a whole bunch, and then just kind of like have a jukebox thing going on and whatnot. Or I can simply just play it immediately, which is what I'm going to do here. So let's hear what this thing sounds like on the CoCo. like O3, where that's a music editor, where you actually create music in score form. So, say you got a favorite song, like you just happen to have score for your song, you can mouse it in. Show that a couple of songs that I did, that really sound pretty good. A bit earlier in my life when I didn't get so much music open source music. Apologize for the red colored text on the screen show that looks great. The camera seems about it. Can't see once I get my video capture. All right, that's all, folks. You have yourself a good night.